Okay, good morning everyone. Myself Saurabh from OpenSpecimen, and today I'm going to show you how to create a workflow from the scratch. In the last video we discussed the different components of the workflow, and we are going to use that knowledge in today demo. So let's start. So to create a workflow you have to follow these steps. You have to first export the existing workflow. This will act as a template for your new workflow, and you can use it to update the configuration files and based on your requirement. And once everything is done, you can just zip everything together and import, and it will create your new workflow. Okay, now this is clear. Let's discuss about the workflow that we are going to develop today. So the workflow that we are going to develop is a receive and process specimen workflow. It will have 5 steps, that is receive primary specimen, spin it, then create plasma derivatives, then create aliquots and store. So let's start this workflow, and for that I need to go to our OpenSpecimen page, and this is here. Okay, so to reach this workflow navigation section, we need to click on navigation bar here, and we just need to select the workflow module. Once we select the workflow module, we will be directed to the list view page of the batches, but we want to go to the workflow, so we need to click on this button. Okay, once we are in the workflow list view page, we can select any workflow for our template to be our template. For now I am selecting this receive specimen workflow for our template. To download this template, I need to select in this drop down option and click on download JSON. It will download the file in the zip format. I'll go to the download folder and extract this file, and when I go inside this extracted folder, then I can see two components. One is workflow.json and another is the JavaScript component for the task. Let's open the workflow.json and update our JSON file based on our need. So since our workflow is going to be a receive and process, I will update the value as it is for the name field. Remember, this name should be unique, so it will be process receive process specimen SPN workflow. Okay, now this is done. I am going to update the title as well, so receive and process specimens. The third thing that I need to do is update the short code. So this will be used in the instant name format to create the batch name. So I will say receive underscore process PROC underscore SPMN, and for now I can remove all these sections. This will be used, it will be automatically updated by the system. Now till this everything is done. The input for our workflow will be specimen, hence our input type is specimen. And here you can see we haven't defined any CP. If we do not define any CP, this workflow can be used for any CP, but in our case we are going to define the CP, and our CP is this one. I'll just copy the CP short title and use it here. Okay, so let me add that short title and add the CP name. Okay, once this is done, I need to go to the rule section. The rule section is based on our main need. So I want my work specimens to be the primary specimens, that is new, lineage that is new, and it should have the quality as to be received. So this rule satisfies my requirements, so I am going to keep it as it is. Now I am not going to add the notify user group for now. I will just move to the task section where I am going to define all my tasks that I want. So as I have discussed earlier, I am going to define 5 different tasks in my workflow. So let's first start with the first task. So The first task will be an update task. I will be updating the receipt quality and time value of my specimen. So it will be update specimens task. Now all this information till is what I need. My first task will be receipt task, so I'm going to keep it as it is, and the name I'm going to keep as it is again. Since this is the first task, you can see the starter task as true and the input as empty. Okay, now using the user group section, I want to provide access to a specific group, so I can add that group value here as a name and add that user group information from the workflow. So I added the user group information. Now the skeleton for my first task is complete. Now I need to add the skeleton for the remaining task. To do that, I need to just copy this part inside the task and add second task like this, comma, and this is the second task. Now let's just update this values based on the second task. That will be our type will be form data entry, because it will be a spin task, so it will be spin specimens. Then the title will be spun event, and I will add some more information in the short description as spin the specimen at 400 G for 12 minutes. Okay, now since this is the second task, the starter task value will be false, and the second task input will be the first task, so I will have to add that as an input. So the source task will be the first task, so the name of the first task is receive specimens. Okay, and here I have to give the value of the source, SOURC, source, not task, source key, as null. Okay, more details on the source key is provided in our wiki page. This can be used for various other purpose, but for now we will keep it as null. Now the second task configuration is also done, so there will be receive task, then there will be spin task. Now the third task, as we have discussed, was a derivative task, so let's add that task as well. So it will be create derivatives, and I'm going to use the same as the name part also, create derivatives, and this also will be same. I'll just so it has create derivatives. And I will add more detail here. Process whole blood to plasma. Okay, now the input will be changed, since here the input will be spin specimens. Now let's add the next configuration for the aliquot task, and that will be create default, instead of derivatives it will be ali quotes. Copy the same here and do this, and just add more detail here, like create plasma aliquots of 1 ml, create 5 plasma aliquots of 1 ml. And again this will be changed till we now create derivatives. And finally we had an store task, so I will add, I will add a store task here. So in the store task we are updating the aliquots location, so it will be update specimen task, and this will be store aliquots. It will be store aliquots. So just update this to store plasma ali quotes to the temporary location. Okay, so now the final thing that I need to do is to update this to create aliquots. Now all my skeleton is done. I will save this skeleton for the workflow.json. Now I need to create a JSON file, JavaScript file for each of them. For the receive, I'm going to use this as my backup, so I will just create a copy, and I will use later this for spin task also, because it was a form task and it has certain configuration from the form task. Let's open the receive task. The name is same as that is defined in the workflow.json, so I will keep it as it is. Let's first remove the form label configurations, these, and keep only those fields that I want. So I only want label and the type field for me, and I remove all other fields that I don't want. So I removed all the other fields. Then I want to add 2 new fields, that is receive date and time and receive quality. So I will go to the configuration page. Here I will search for receive date and time. So I will copy this and paste it here, and second I will need receive quality. I will copy this and paste it here. So I have added 2 fields. Now I have to update the default section. Let's update the default section and keep it simple. Now since I want to update the value of these 2 fields, I will to default these values, the receive date and time to the current date and receive quality to acceptable. I will update it accordingly. So I will use this, and then I will say the time should be the current date, so it will say get time, so pull the current time, and the receive quality should be acceptable. So I will copy this and say the receive quality should be acceptable. Okay, so I have added the default for these 2 fields that I want. Now this configuration is done. I will use the second one for my form event. I have to update the name to exact name that I have added here, that is spin specimens, and go here and just update to spin specimens. Let's open this one too, and the configuration, I can remove this configuration for default because this is not what I need. And these 2 are the form event configuration that I need, so I'll keep it as it is. I'll keep the default section like this, remove this section which I don't need. So I have the form label configuration from these two. They have default and then I have field. In the form label, to pull the specimen label fields, I need to change this. I will first do this one, then I will update it later. So I just want to show, let's say, these two fields, specimen label and type. So I have to say as record fields to pull the specimen label fields, and if I want to pull any form label field, then I have to define it in the fields section like I have done before. Okay, so we will go to that. Let's just here it is pulling the receive event, so I want to pull the spun event, so I have to give the spun event form name. So that is available around here. Let me just check, it is not here. Let me just go to the forms and pull the name of the spun event form. Okay, so it is spun event. This is the one that I need, right? It's the system label, yeah. And I will copy this spun event form name and update to the form name as spun event. Since this is the form type is spun event type, so it is spun event. If it was a form label type, specimen form, then I should say keep it as specimen, and if it was a visit label type, then I should have keep this value as specimen collection group. Okay, so this is an event. I will keep this as it is, and the records are there. And from here I want to just show these two fields, g-force and duration. Okay, so I have to pull those values from here and add the values for those two fields. And as I have configured here, I want to say the g-force should be 400 and duration should be 12. I can update these values in the default as well. So this is g-force and duration. Okay, it is not copying from below. So let's say duration, and g-force is 400 and duration is 12. So I have defaulted that as well. Let me save this second JS task. The third one is the derivatives. So let's create a derivative task and just name it as derivative. Create derivatives, copy, rename it as create derivatives, and open this file. So I don't need to default any of this, I just need specimen label. And since I'm going to create a derivative from the parent specimen, I will be going to say I need parent dot label. I don't want to see the type of the parent, so I just remove this all section, and I am going to add the derivative type drop down. To do that, I will use again our wiki page and say type. Yeah, it will not give me type like that. To say like this. Okay, specimen label, specimen type, here it is. Just copy this one and paste it here. So the type is done. And the second, I want to provide the initial quantity for my derivative. So where is initial quantity? Initial quantity is here. Just copy this here and add it. So the fields are done. Okay, so now I want to default the type to the plasma, because I have said here I'm creating the plasma from the whole blood. So to default that type and class, so I will say type to plasma, and I also want to, I have to provide, since I'm creating derivative, I also provide the specimen class. So specimen class equals to fluid. Okay, so this configuration is also done for derivatives. Let's take a copy of it and create a aliquot task. I'll copy this. I will do JS and aliquot task JS file is done. Yeah, I will open this. I again need the parent label. I don't need the type because the type will be same as its parent for the aliquot, but I need to provide the quantity for per aliquot and the count, so that I have to copy from the our wiki page. So I go here in our wiki page, and copy the count. So the count will be this aliquot count, and copy the quantity for each aliquot. So this will be the quantity. Okay, and in the workflow JSON I have said I am creating 5 aliquots with 1 ml quantity, so I have to I can default those two values as well. So the number of count will be 5 and quantity per aliquot will be 1. So this is also done. Now the last task is an update task. So let's just copy this one, paste here, and rename this task based on our task name here, store aliquots .js, store s is gone, and open this task. So in this task I just want the specimen label and the location, so I just remove everything else and copy the location from our configuration here. Location, location is there. Copy the location. So the fields is done. I don't want to configure any default, so let's just remove this default section and save it. Now everything is done. The JS file is ready. All the 5 task file of the JSON JavaScript is ready. Just need to compress this. I can add any value, it doesn't matter. Go to OpenSpecimen workflow and just import that. It will upload the workflow and your workflow is ready based on your new requirement. Let's search that workflow. It is receive and process. So this is the workflow that we have recently created. I'll go inside this workflow and start a batch of the specimen. Okay, so I have already created a specimen that fulfills my requirement for this workflow. So receive quality, as you can see, I will go back. The receive quality is C, it is to be received, and it is a new specimen, primary specimen. So this specimen fulfill the requirements. So I will copy this label of this specimen and start a batch. So here it is receive specimen, receive and process. So here I go, I add that label, click on add button and start, and the batch is ready. You can see the default value that I have added in the first task, this one, receive acceptable and date as current date, is getting pulled, and the title description is shown as I have added here, and the short descriptions are shown in the below. Okay, now this is done. So let's update this receive quality of this specimen. I'm updating. So currently you can see the value is to be received. Now after submitting, it should be changed to acceptable. I have submitted it. I'll just refresh this page and see if it is updated or not. Yeah, you can see the receive event has been updated. It is acceptable, and it's got my name, that is current user, and the current time. Now the second task, GeForce, again these values are defaulted, yeah, so there might be some configuration issue because I'm seeing PPID and the visit as well. Let me just go to the spin task, and okay, yeah, there is a spelling mistake. CORD record fields. I'll save this and again compress and do this. So I have specified that I want label and type, but here I'm seeing other configuration, hence I thought there is a mistake, and I corrected that mistake and created new zip. I'm going to upload this new zip. I need to go back to the workflow list view page to upload it, and I just upload it here. Yeah, now let me refresh this workflow task batch page, and it should now appear as I have configured. Yeah, so now you can see it is label and type, so as I have configured, and then GeForce is defaulted, G4 and duration are defaulted. I'll submit it and go back to that specimen, refresh that specimen. It should have a spun event now. Yeah, you can see there is a spun event with the values that we have configured in the workflows. Now let's go back to the batch. Now I'm creating the plasma. This is again defaulted value. I'm creating the derivative, and let's set a quantity as 10 and submit. Similarly, I'm creating 5 aliquots with 1 ml quantity for that derivative, and click on submit. Now let's go back to that specimen and refresh and see if I am able to create, if the derivatives and the aliquots are created or not. And as you can see, now the primary specimen has 1 derivative and 5 aliquots, but you can see the location of these aliquots are not yet added, so we need to update the location with the last task, that is location task. I'll select one container, yeah, and see if it has enough space or not. Yeah, if it has enough space at this value, I will say copy first to all and give 1 1 1. I'm not sure it has G or not, so it is H, then we have I, and I guess then we again have 2A and 2B. So I have added the location for each aliquots, and once I submit, it should get updated. So I submitted it. I will just refresh this one. And you see the locations are updated for the aliquots. In this way you can create a workflow from the scratch, and this is how you can do it.